Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda and I am here with my July book haul revisit. So if you don't know what this is where I look at years past, the books that I brought in July, and tell you if I've read them, if I've unhauled them, if they're still sitting on my shelves, and what's going on with them. Now, one thing I do, because these videos have the potential as we go through time to become very, very, very long. If last year when I did this, I only did July 2023. So in July 2023, any books in that video, which I will link below, I said that I had read or unhauled, they're not included in this. It's just the books going forward. So I am covering 2 years here. I'm covering July 2023 and July 2024. And if you want to know what I bring in July 2025, wait till the beginning of next month. Then you'll see, because there are still books coming in. And Pango is dangerous. Anyway, if you watched the videos last month, I said, wow, this is a surprisingly short video for being a book haul revisit. I'm not going to say that this video at all. I'm not going to say it. It's not short. And as always, I'm not going to go hunting all these books, so I'm just going to put pictures of them up there. So let's get started. The first book I brought in July of 2023, and I should say for July of 2023, hold on a sec, where'd my book tracker go? I started with 31 books, and last year I got it down to 23 books. So we're going to go through 23 books here, and then we'll see how many I have left. The first book I brought in, I picked up at the library, sort of the library pop-up book sale. It's not a pop-up book sale. It's this little shop they have in our library. The Friends of the Library has it, and I usually just go check and see if there's something I have there. And I picked up Prodigal Summer by Barbara Kingsolver. I do want to read more Barbara Kingsolver, but I have not yet read this. It's still sitting up there. It is sitting up there along with, actually it is not sitting up there along with. When I said that I was going to put pictures up there, I lied a little bit, because I actually have this one. I have Demon Copperhead. And if you look at this is not the one that you see in the United States. That's because I got this from Blackwells. I was placing an order for other books at Blackwells, and the thing about Blackwells, you can sometimes get books in paperback there, even if this is an American book. Barbara Kingsolver is an American writer. But at the time I ordered this, and I think maybe still, I don't know, but it wasn't available in paperback in the United States. Also, I paid like 14 bucks. How much did I pay for this? I do know that the print was like 35. I paid $11.21 for this. So good deal. I have not read it yet. However, I am hoping to read it next month. We'll see. Cross my fingers. Okay. And then the next two books I got from Powell's, and it looks like I went there looking for some specific books, and then I picked something up off the remainder shelves, which is where I do most of my shopping at Powell's. And the one that I picked up on the remainder shelf was The Sisters Brothers by Patrick DeWitt. He is a Canadian author, but he does live here in Portland, and I had heard good things about this, and I thought, oh, I'll read that in June on the Range in 2024, and I did not. I also did not read it for June on the Range in 2025. It's still on my shelf. I will get to it eventually. Now, the book I did go in to get was a book called Hex by Thomas Olde Heuvelt. This is a horror novel. The author is Dutch, from the Netherlands. This is translated from the Dutch, but it's set in New York State. And I always find that very interesting, to read books set in the United States, about people in the United States, by people not from the United States, to see what they really think of us. This is a book every October. I'm like, I'm going to get to this, and it just doesn't happen. So it's going to be back on the TBR for this October. I'm really inspired by it. I mean, I'm inspired to read it. It looks really good. I just need to read it. It's a witch story, by the way. And the next few books also all came from Blackwells, and there's definitely a theme. I'm just going to let's see, how should I do this? I'll just kind of like, while I'm talking about them, go through each one here. I mean, they'll just boom, boom, boom. Because they're all by a woman named Mary Westmacott. If you don't know who Mary Westmacott is, that's because she's not a real person. She's a pseudonym for Agatha Christie. And these books are The Rose and the Yew Tree, Absent in the Spring, The Burden, Giant's Bread, and Unfinished Portrait. I have no clue which one's showing up there right now. We're just going to have to wait and see. These are all her Mary Westmacott books. They are a little bit harder at the time to get in the United States. I went to Blackwells to get them so I could get mostly matching covers, but of course there's one that's in mass market paperback size, which makes me mad. But yeah, I have all these in my collection. They're not high priority Agatha Christie books, but I will read them at some point because I'm building my Agatha Christie library. These are not mysteries. These are more like emotional sort of things like this. It was her working out her ish, is what it was. But yeah, those are still upstairs. Speaking of Agatha Christie, I have 3 more Agatha Christies coming up, and I have read all 3 of them. The first one is 5 Little Pigs. I believe on the All About Agatha podcast, this is their highest rated one. I enjoyed it. It's probably not my favorite of hers, but I did really enjoy it. It is a Perot, as is the next one, which is 1, 2, Buckle My Shoe. This one involves dentistry, which is kind of like a painful thing to read about. I mean, as I always tell my kids, I have great oral hygiene. And the reason I have great oral hygiene is I hate dental work. And so I just take really good care of my teeth. And I'm saying this as my jaw is still really hurting me. I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, this is another Perot. Actually, all 3 of these are Perots. 1, 2, Buckle My Shoe. It was about dentistry. It was not my favorite. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't. And the next one was Evil Under the Sun, which was also a Perot, but I kind of remember this because I had actually seen, and I didn't realize it, I had seen the Perot, the TV show episode of this one, so it was not a surprise who did it. And I didn't realize that until I was like kind of into the book a bit. I'm like, wait a minute, I know this story. And I remember it's because I had actually seen that episode, but it was good. I probably would have enjoyed it more had I not known what it was going to be. And then apparently I went back to that little library bookstore and I picked up the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. Still have not read it. It's upstairs, right next to Prodigal Summer. I'll get to it. And I should be reading more Barbara Kingsolver during the summer because she writes big books. A lot of her books are big, not all of them. My hair's kind of just. My daughter and I were out running errands today and it was really hot this morning, so I feel like I'm melting and this face kind of look like a mess, but. Okay, the next book I have, this is an interesting one. It's called The Winteringham Mystery by Anthony Berkeley. So the sort of claim to fame for this one is that this is a golden age mystery. And I guess there was a contest to try to solve it. And Agatha Christie entered the contest and couldn't solve it. So I'm very interested in reading it. Have not read it yet, but I am interested in reading it. Then I have a book that if you watch my channel, you have heard me talk about because I did just recently read this book. And it is one of my favorites of the year so far. And that is Farthing by Jo Walton. I read it for Read Historical Fiction 2025. It was my work of alternate historical fiction. It is alternate historical fiction, but it also feels like a golden age mystery. And it's also very chilling. It would not be chilling if I'd read it in 2006 when it came out. It's very chilling to read in today's day and age because it's about England, as they say in the back, England stumbling towards fascism, which I don't think England is doing right now, but the United States sure as heck is. So, there's that. Okay. And then I have a book that I have been wanting to read for a long time. It's just one of those things that sits on my shelf and I haven't got to yet. And that is actually, it's not upstairs on my shelf. It's downstairs on my priority TBR shelf. So I should hopefully get to it sooner or later because when I did my quick to judge, I think is what it was, tag, you choose 5 books and then whatever. It was one of them. And that was Crow Lake by Mary Lawson. Mary Lawson is a Canadian author and I've read one of her books before. I cannot remember the title of it, but I did quite enjoy it. So I've heard good things about Crow Lake. And then next I have my first unhaul of this list, and that's Yinka, Where Is Your Husband by, my thing just went away. I hate it when my spreadsheet is smarter than I am. Yinka, Where Is Your Husband by Lizzie Damiola Blackburn. I picked this up in a little free library and I've heard great things about it, but I have started something recently where I keep track of how many books I bring in and my TBR thing, and my new thing is I cannot finish the month having more books on my TBR than I started with. Now, I started this whole thing like midway through the year, so I still have too many books, but so some of these books I just had to look at and say, do I really feel like reading this? And I did not really feel like really reading this one at the time. So it went back to another little free library. And if I feel like I want to read it down the line, I can. It isn't on my shelf right now. But yeah, that's Yinka, Where is your husband? I think, okay, the next one was also a little free library pickup. It is still on my shelves. It has a much better chance of being read, and that's A Patchwork Planet by Anne Tyler. I've not read any Anne Tyler, and I know I need to. I do know this is one that comes pretty highly recommended. She's just an author I just haven't gotten to yet. I do have a couple of her books on my shelf, so I will probably start with one of those, this being one of them. So it has a pretty good chance of being one of the first of hers that I read. Not entirely sure what it's about, but I feel confident going into it. Okay, the next book is one that I buddy read within the last year with Mariandria at Books and Bocadillos, and it's The Weaver and the Witch Queen by Genevieve Gornichek. This is sort of a historical fantasy, I guess. It's set in Norway, and it builds a lot on sort of Norwegian folklore. But there's a weaver and there's a witch and she's a queen and things happen. But it was good. I preferred her first book, The Witch's Heart, a bit more. That one's about the wife of Loki. But this one was entertaining as well. I do really like her writing, and I'll continue to read what she writes. And then I got this off a Kobo sale, but I am definitely going to be reading it. Not yet. I haven't read it yet. And that's Canary Row by John Steinbeck. I have been loving John Steinbeck. So far, all I've read of his is Travels with Charlie, East of Eden, The Pearl, and Grapes of Wrath. So I've read his two big ones, big as in size, big ones, also big in reputation. And so now I need to start on some of his shorter ones. And I do have quite a few of them on my Kobo, including Canary Row. But I do think the one I'm going to start with is Of Mice and Men, but we'll see. I haven't read that yet either. And then I have a book called The Turquoise Shop by Frances Crane. This is a Golden Age mystery. I believe I picked this up because it was going to be a group read with the She Done It podcast. And so I got it, but then I didn't get around to reading it. So it's sitting there. I'll read it sometime. Almost done with 2023. The next book is a mystery called The Murder Game by Tom Hindle. I picked this one up, I ordered this from Blackwells as well. I'm not sure what drew me to it, but it's a modern mystery, but I think it feels very Golden Age-ish. So definitely I will be reading that sometime in the future. And then the final book I have for July 2023 is an unhaul. And this one you may have seen me talk about recently because it was on my pile of possibilities for Historathon 2025, and that is The Flames by Sophie Haydock. I was planning to read it as the book, historical fiction having to do with art, because it does deal quite a bit with the art scene in Vienna, I think around the turn of the century. I didn't get to it. I had actually switched. I had another book I planned to read, and then that was an audiobook, and I messed up, and I will still listen to that one. But this one, when I picked it up afterwards, I was like, I really am not that interested in it. So, unhaul. So, that was July 2023. And as I said, I started with 31. Last year, I got it down to 23. And this year, I got it down to 16. So, I will be carrying 16 books forward to next year. Now, let's look at 2024. Okay, so I got a little, this is actually not as big as I thought it was. I brought in 11 books last July in 2024. So let's see how many are still on my shelves. I gotta get to the right tab here. Here we go. Okay. The first book I have was actually a reread. I got the ebook version of it, and that is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I had already read it. Last year, Bookish Best Friend and I, Buddy, read it, and my friend Kim, the three of us, Buddy, read it, also for Jane Austen July. For those of you who haven't heard, I am working on repairing my relationship with Jane Austen. I had to read all of Jane Austen, sometimes multiple times in college, and then write essays on them. And I didn't like that, which made me not like Jane Austen's books. So I'm trying to read them now when I don't have to write an essay on them. And so Persuasion was the one that I started with. The two that I did not remember very well were Persuasion and Mansfield Park. And I did know Persuasion was a second chance romance, which is a trope that I like. So I decided to start with that one. And I did. I liked it. I liked it fine. Not a Bronte novel, but I liked it fine. this year, Bookish Best Friend and I are buddy reading Mansfield Park. In fact, I'm starting it today as I start. This is July 8th. We are starting our buddy read today, which is what I will be filming once I get this video ready. The next one is also, well, the next one I got, what I thought was a reread, but it kind of isn't. And that is kind of wasn't, I should say, because I have read it. And that's My Ántonia by Willa Cather. I read this my junior year in high school, but when I reread it, I realized I hadn't read the whole thing. There's 3 parts of this book, and I don't think we read the middle part because, you know, the first part was all familiar, and then the middle part, I'm like, I don't remember any of this at all. And then I remember the last part, so I think we had an edited version. But anyway, I really liked My Ántonia. I would probably rank it my second favorite Willa Cather at this point. So there we go. And then we followed that one up with The Song of the Lark, which I actually read this April. And I got to admit, I didn't really like Song of the Lark. It just did not work as well for me. I didn't like the main character. I wasn't that interested in her plight. There were parts of it I really liked, though. I mean, some of the writing I really liked. I think Willa Cather's a fantastic writer. This one just didn't click with me. But now I've read it. I don't have to read it again. And then I have my first and so far only William Faulkner book I have ever read, which is As I Lay Dying. I read this with Faulkner in August last year. I am not sure if I'm going to be doing Faulkner in August this year. I am still toying with it. They're doing a short story collection, which might be an easier sell for me, but we'll see. We'll see. I think they're doing Go Down Moses is what they're doing. But yeah, As I Lay Dying, Faulkner is hard. That's just really all I've got to say. Faulkner is hard. And then I have an audiobook, and I got this for the BookTube prize, which is interesting. I must have gotten it in anticipation of it, because I don't think I read it until the next year, or until the next month. But this was Eve, How the Female Body Drove 200 Million Years of Human Evolution. So this is what it sounds like. It's just the history of human evolution, but focusing more on the role of female in it. Very interesting, very much written for non-science people, which I am not a science person. I mean, I believe in science. I believe in science and all that, but it was not my favorite subject in school. I have something on my glass. No, that's just a shadow. I'm like, what's going on there? But I really enjoyed it. Of the books that made it to the final round of, no, I must have. I can't remember when I read this. If I read it in the final round or read it in the semi-final round. Anyway, of the books that made it to the final round, this was my top pick. My top pick overall didn't make it to the final round, but this one did. And so I quite enjoyed it. It was a great audiobook. And then I have a short story collection called Temple Folk by Aliyah Bilal. I had been waiting for this one. I actually pre-ordered the paperback for it. And I'm glad I did. I mean, I'm glad I read it. It didn't quite live up to what I had hoped for. I think what I was kind of hoping for was what I found in Dearborn. But, which is great, by the way, highly recommend Dearborn, but I still enjoyed it. It talks about the Black Muslim in the United States experience, which was very interesting. It's not something that I have read before. I just wasn't quite as taken with the stories as I was in Dearborn. So. And then I have a little book no one has ever heard of called The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This was my book of the month pick, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was my book of the month pick. This is it's called a literary thriller, and I don't really like that because it's not, to me, a thriller is more fast-paced than this was, but it wasn't quite a mystery either. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I had read Long Bright River before, because then I kind of knew what to expect going into this one. I wasn't expecting a thriller book, even though everyone kept saying it was a thriller. Because I think I would have been more disappointed with that, because it is a very slow burn, but I thought it was really well written. Probably what I liked best about it was just the feeling, that hot, humid summer feel that it had going. It was pretty impressive. So there you go. So the next 3 are all by William Shakespeare. And sometimes what I do is when I have to order a William Shakespeare, I'll kind of get a couple other ones to kind of maximize shipping. Which looks like is what happened here. So the first one I have is As You Like It. I have not read this yet. Have not read As You Like It. It is still on my shelf, but I know it's going to be read whenever I pull out of my little tin, I will read As You Like It. And that also goes for The Comedy of Errors. So it's still in the tin. When I pull it out, I will read this book. So don't worry about those. The final one is the one that I did read. So clearly the one that I was ordering for, and the other two were just to kind of maximize shipping. And that's Cymbeline. If you've seen any of my Shakespeare ranking videos, I say this is where my thing with Cymbeline is. It is a hot mess. It is a hot mess, but it is at least an entertaining hot mess, unlike The Winter's Tale, which is a hot mess but not entertaining. Cymbeline has it's a kitchen sink. Like Shakespeare took the kitchen sink and just threw it into this play. It has everything. I can't even explain this play. I can't. It has misidentified beheaded people in it. It has long lost siblings. It has Jupiter coming down on a cloud. It is like, what is going on with that? But it was at least entertaining. Oh, and I'm going to lie again because I have this book right here as well. And this next one, I got the next 4, I think. No, the next 3 from the IPL list off the Currently Reading podcast. And I have actually read one of them. This isn't the one that I've read though. No, yeah, I've only read one. The next 4, maybe 3, I don't know, the next 3, I've only read one, and this is not it. But I want to read it because it's big book summer. And that is Forever by Peter Hamill. It's sitting right here because it is a big book. This is like a time travel. A guy comes to New York in 1740 and remains forever through the eyes of Cormac O'Connor, granted immortality as long as he never leaves the island of Manhattan. We watch Manhattan grow from a tiny settlement on the tip of an untamed wilderness to a thriving metropolis of today. This sounds so fascinating. I just need time to read it. Put a pin in the word immortal. I have a story about that at my wrap up coming up this weekend. It's kind of a head scratcher. Anyway, that one. So the next one that I got from the IPL, I have not read, but I unhauled it. And I was actually one of those books, when I heard the description of it, I was really excited to hear it. And I think it might just be right down here. Yeah, can't get to it. Anyway, and then, so I ordered it, and then people on BookTube started reading it, and no one seemed to like it. So I'm like, I'm not going to read it. And that's Bear by Julia Phillips. I mean, some people liked it. It just generally wasn't well received from a lot of, the majority of not all of them, but the majority were. And you hear it enough and you just don't feel like reading it. And I needed to get my monthly countdown to 0. So that is in a little free library somewhere, or in a bag going to a little free library. And then we have the one, my nose is itchy, always happens in every video. The one that I did read. And this is Rednecks by Taylor Brown. I read this also for Read Historical Fiction 2025. This is about the West Virginia Mine Wars of 1920, 1921. It is where we get the term rednecks. I will never use that term derogatorily again. It was very interesting, although I did have some issues with the construction. I felt like there were far too many viewpoint characters. I wish he had focused on just one character, but as far as learning about this particular event, it was great. I learned a lot about it. And it was very atmospheric. Whenever I do my 50 state thing and I get to West Virginia, we'll see that one again because that went on the list for West Virginia. I don't have a lot of books about West Virginia, but actually the next book I have may also be about West Virginia. I've heard good things about this. I am kind of holding it because it is on the possibilities list for my Marginals and Margaritas group. But I also really want to read it, so I might not wait for them. And that's Smother Moss by Elisa Allering. This is another Appalachian set book. It's about sisters. There's LGBTQ rep. I know people who've read it and have really enjoyed it. So I am interested in reading it. As I said, I'm just kind of holding it just in case, but I might not wait that long. And then the final book is the one I am so embarrassed I have not read yet because I was really excited about it. And I feel bad being on BookTube and have not read this and it's sitting on my shelf. And I actually pulled it out the end of May to see how many pages it was, and it wasn't quite 400, so back on the shelf, at least until summer. And that's The Trouble with Mrs Montgomery Hurst by Katie Lumsden. I want to read this. It feels very summery to me, like what I know about it. Springy, I think, is more of it. Maybe I'll wait till next spring. I really enjoyed Heartwood Hall. I enjoyed that one. I'm looking forward to this one. This one seems a little more Austinish. So maybe I'll fit it in the summer, will not, but I'm definitely going to read it. I'm just not sure when yet. So let's go to count here. Started with 11. I'm only carrying 5 forward, and 2 of those are Shakespeare's that will be read whenever. The ones I'm carrying forward are the 2 Shakespeare's, Forever, which I'm hoping to read this summer, Smother Moss, which I'm hoping to read soon, and The Trouble with Mrs Montgomery Hurst, which I'm hoping to read. So July of 2024 is actually looking pretty good. I will give you a heads up for what to expect next month. I'm less than half an hour. I thought this was going to be like a 45-minute video, but August was another big year in 2023. And it was kind of big in 2024 though. I will say I'm doing better. I am reading more out of my 2024 list. I'm a little more controlled there, but anyway, if any of those books that I have mentioned that I still have on my shelves, if anyone would like to buddy read any of them, let me know. Probably not scheduling any more buddy reads until September or later, but I would love to buddy read with you. Just let me know down below, or my contact information is down below and at the end. Just let me know. And yeah, thanks so much. Like, subscribe, join my Discord. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.